Claudia, and this is the YouTube video for CSDS 98. So through my personal experience and what I know of minority groups, it's people that are categorized with a disadvantage. And I feel today's topic and what we're actually talking about is I guess you could say a disability. Through my own experience, I feel people with disabilities are always looked down upon, or sometimes they're pointed at. They're judged right off the bat. I feel a lot of people don't give others a chance to show what they can do. I feel that's not right, and I know it's not right because everyone deserves a chance to be heard, seen, and not that they have to prove themselves, but I definitely don't feel we should automatically judge someone just because they're a little bit different. I definitely feel they're in this world for a reason, and that we should always give everyone a fair shot and not just judge someone right off the bat. Disabilities, in my personal opinion, and through what I've seen and heard, it's seen as a negative instead of a positive. However, I feel if you know someone with a disability, a lot of the times it's not a disadvantage. We are all the same at the end of the day. In one of the classes I had this semester, we were talking about how an average person wakes up. Someone that can hear will wake up with, music to get their attention to, wake up for the next day. Whereas someone that can't hear, they use vibrations in their phone, sometimes, and they'll sleep on their bed or in their pillow, and that's how they wake up. And in my opinion, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just because we do something differently doesn't mean that one way is wrong, one way is right, I do feel everyone should have that, chance to just be the same, What I understood from the question is, what do I see or think of people that are hard of hearing or deaf? And in my personal opinion, I've always thought it was really cool. It's always sparked my interest ever since I was little. And when I was little, I had a neighbor that did not or wasn't able to hear. When she was little, she had an operation, I want to say, but the hearing wasn't fully there, so she did use sign language. And personally, that's always been something I've always been interested in. I've always wanted the materials and some type of education to teach me. However, it's a little hard to go explore when you don't have the certain resources for it. And growing up, I was never around anyone that couldn't hear. The only person I ever knew was my neighbor, but we didn't go to school together. We went to two different schools, and I was never exposed to it. And then in middle school, same thing, never exposed to it. There was no classes for it either. We never even talked about it. And then when I switched over to high school, I still didn't know anyone, and there was still no classes for it. The only classes there was I want to say just Spanish. That was the only language that you could learn besides English. But I definitely feel it'd be nice to have an ASL class because there's a lot of people in our community that can't hear, and it'd be a great opportunity to learn sign language and go into what I've kind of always liked as a child, and it'd be really cool, in my opinion.